My name's Stuart Bozeman, and this is Bozeman Farms and Ranches, and we're located in Idalou, Texas. It's in the western panhandle. In the winter months, I run Stalker Cattle, and this is my third year to use SweetPro products, and I've been using EquiPride, I believe, for 5 years now. And anyways, I'm a big believer in it. And I decided 3 years ago that I was going to run some wheat pasture cattle. I just kept calf candy blocks out in 16s for these calves, and my cattle were essentially the same cattle as my neighbors, and I outgained them by 3.5 to 4/10 of a pound, depending on which neighbor it was. And the only difference in our feed was the fact that I had the SweetPro Blocks out, and they just kept loose mineral or 12-12 mineral blocks out. This year I decided I found some wheat around here and turned out 194 head, and I got into some wrecks this year because I decided I didn't have any of the blocks, and I decided I could get along without them. Just decided that in my head, and I had more trouble with sickness this year. In the first month, I lost 6 head before I got these blocks put out, and once I had these blocks put out, I didn't lose any cattle except one to accident and one that had been a chronic from the very get-go that was on the front end of these cattle. But in the first 100 head I had turned out before they were on the blocks really well, I came back and I mass treated 50% of them, which is actually, that's a lot of money per head in medicine. And all these cattle come straight out of sale barns around Abilene, Texas, Graham, Texas, and Coleman, places like that. So they're central Texas cattle, really. And the last 100 head I turned out, or this I guess is 95, I went from doctoring 50% of them. Once they started on the calf starter blocks, and I doctored 10% of them after I give them their vaccines up front, and they gain 1.9 pounds a day standing in a lot. And then once I put them out on wheat, I had a couple I considered doctoring, and then the next day they look better, and so I gave no shots once I put them out on wheat to the second 90 head I had. And still this day I've had nothing I've given a shot to out of that second 90 head. So the first 100 head, I contracted 59 of them to weigh 850 pounds and go on the truck the 24th of April. And it looks like they're going to weigh 880 pounds, which means from the 14th of November to the 24th of April, they've averaged 3.12 pounds a day. So actually, it looks like the last 90 head is going to probably beat the first 100 head. So they gained 3.12 pounds a day over a 140-day period, which I think is, and it's actually a little bit more. I'm giving you what the cattle are probably going to shrink down to at 880 pounds. So that they probably gained 3.2 pounds a day for 140 over a period of 140 days, which is pretty unbelievable. That's actually 4/10 a pound better than either of the 2 years before. And I don't know what my other head are going to do, but I would imagine they're going to be really close to that number, or maybe even beat it. So anyways, once the tubs were out, my death loss went from 7% on the first 100 down to 0% on the second 90. And I can't scientifically tell you that's the reason, but that's the only difference in the cattle is the tubs, as far as what I've fed the entire time. They've been out on wheat pasture. I've had no problem with bloat this year, and we've had zero rainfall. These are just irrigated pivots, but it's been a very dry year. But I've kept the wheat green for them, but they've stayed on the they've stayed on the calf candy tubs all the way up to 850 pounds because of the wheat. I wanted to keep the consumption above a half a pound a day, and it seems like I've done that. You know, and it might be better if they were even doing 3/4 of a pound, but it's fine with me where they're at. And these calves, none of them, as you can tell from the video, have big grass bellies on there, and their hair coat's real slick, and they're all, I mean, they're all in very good health. And anyways, they're a good enough set of cattle to go to Nebraska. What the feedlot's looking for is a calf with a big frame on him that's ready to put pounds on. And these calves, by all means, are not thin cattle. They're just big, framey, muscular-looking cattle. It looks like the product puts the weight in the right places and keeps the weight out of the wrong places. When the guy from Superior came to look at these cattle, it was in February, and they looked like they had their winter coat on. Well, he came and put them on the truck in May, and in May he said it was the best physical appearing set of cattle he'd ever put on, and he's been videoing for Superior for several years. But he said they had the best hair coat, and he said their frame, the way they were framed up, was the best he'd ever seen any cattle in all his years of doing Superior. I won't ever run cattle without it. Seems like it's insurance. The money I spent on medicine this year, when I didn't have the tubs, I could have probably, can't tell you because hindsight, it's 2020, but you look at it, and from my years past, those experiences, I've never spent this much money on medicine. And this year I quit spending money on medicine once I got the tubs out. So anyways, that's my testament to this product. Seems like it's like health insurance for your cattle. It really does. Part of the reason I run the cattle is I train my own cutting and rein cow horses, and I don't do it for the public, but I try and buy and sell my own horses and train them. I tried the EquiPride blocks and put them in there for my horses, and about 2 months later, some people were over at my house working horses with me, and they said, "Are your horses on steroids or anything?" And I said, "No, I've actually just started feeding this stuff called EquiPride." And as far as the EquiPride goes, it seems like I've not had any problems with colic in the last 5 years since I've been on it. And like I said, my horses look great, and they seem like they recover from workouts quicker. It seems like it helps them be a little bit stronger, so maybe they can get out of a tight spot easier, or things like that. It doesn't make them smarter. It doesn't do anything like that, but it sure seems like they're stronger, and they're physically able to take the training better, which is for cow horses and cutting horses, you have to have a pretty phenomenal athlete. And it really does seem like they eat. I feed them as much as they want to eat, but it seems like they don't always clean up all their hay and all that if they've got the tubs out for them. I've had no horses get sick once they've been on this stuff, and it's not a miracle product to me, but it seems like it put my horses where I wanted them as far as their physical appearance, and as far as the way they feel, the way they look. I'm just way happier with it, especially for the cost effectiveness over anything else I've ever tried on horses. And I mean, it's just a wonderful product.